Hey, what is up everyone? It's True Review! Right here with... what's that? Oh, it's another top 10 list. And I think I can safely sit here and say that I've played a lot of games in my time. Some of them I've loved, some of them I didn't. But then there were some that turned me off initially, but after going, no, I'm gonna sit here and plow through this title until I think I've seen enough of it to justify not playing it anymore, and actually give it a chance, I ended up loving it and thanked myself for actually giving that game the time of day because it turned out to be an amazing experience. So here are the 10 times that that's happened to me. There aren't any rules for this list as such, so with that out the way, let's get this one rolling. Lisa! Lisa is a game that actively goes out of its way to piss you off. There were so many times during my playthrough where I had to stop, pinch the bridge of my nose and go, this fucking game. Even on the Steam store page, it describes itself as a life-ruining gaming experience. It will purposely waste your time by giving you a simple objective, then chastising you for getting it wrong because it turns out that what you were meant to do was something completely different but sounds almost the same on paper. Like in one case, where some dude asks you to put out a small campfire with a group of kids surrounding it, so you pick up a bucket of water and throw it on the fire. But that turned out to actually be a bucket of gasoline, and you just set all the kids alight, and the bucket of water you wanted was somewhere else. So you bring the bucket of water back, but it's already too late by then. Well done, player. Or there's this massive tower you can go up, which seems to go on forever, but when you get to the top, all there is a middle finger. Or that party member who does little to no damage during battles. And yet, despite the countless punches this game pulls, I actually really liked it. Its dark humour, the entertaining battles, the depressing setting, and the slightly emotional story. It's a game that tells you to fuck off at every opportunity, but if you can learn to like being told to fuck off, then there's a great game waiting for you here. This is The Police! I got this game along with some others from Humble Bundle, and like with most games I get from there, I didn't exactly ask for them. What did I not do, Adam Jensen?
I never asked for this.
I'm not particularly big on the idea of group management in video games, as those kind of games never really appealed to me. Not hating on them, but they're just not my cup of tea really. Yet This Is The Police was a great experience, because though you're trying to manage which of your cops go to which emergencies, if you're going to respond to them at all, there's this greater story happening on top of it. Whether you're going to do exactly as the mayor asks and fire some of your African American members of your force and come across as a racist and get dragged to court because of it, or to not follow his orders and get dragged into the mayor's office for insubordination, or which of two crime families you're going to support, if either. Or whether you just want to grab a bit on the side through corruption, it's all yours for the taking. You've also got Adam Jensen in here for some reason, and even the guy who voiced Duke Nukem also plays the main role in this. And then if you recall the last video I did on this game, you've also got people who show up to work even after you've fired them. Now that's dedication! Imperial Glory! I have dreamt for a long time for there to be a Total War style game that focuses on the Napoleonic period. No, Napoleon Total War doesn't count. And to be fair, Imperial Glory doesn't quite cut it either, but still, while this was a difficult game to get into, it's a great game once you do. The problem with this game is that you kind of need to know what you're doing before you do it, so if you dive headfirst into this game, you're gonna suck. Just saying. It also doesn't help that any battle you fight in a particular region will include the same map each time, as if invading Austria, everyone goes, hey, why don't we just all meet up at the last place we fought? And this isn't exactly the kind of game where you can just sit on the sidelines and get powerful without getting too involved in international affairs, because everyone else is going to suck you into an alliance of one kind or another at some point, and prepare to see blockades all over the gaff. Also, the campaign map plays like Risk, so there's that. But putting all of that to the side, this game has a lot to offer you. Huge building trees, an emphasis on diplomacy, fun and engaging battles, including naval battles, which Total War hadn't got round to doing at this point. And I also seem to remember that you could start a civil war in your capital and then choose which side you wanted to support. So you could either fight off the rebel scum and keep your existing regime, or you could join the rebels and bring about communism. I mean a different form of government, or whatever. Arx Fatalis! I probably pronounced that wrong. The first thing I thought when I got this game was, oh cool, it's by the same people as Dishonored and Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. The second thing I thought after I started this game was, well, these controls are crap. Like, seriously, they leave a lot to be desired, including 2 control schemes, one for combat and one for interacting with the environment. But even after that, the game's story and setting is confusing. This is another game that suffers from what I've referred to in the past as infinite undiscovery syndrome, where a game throws so much information at you, like you already know exactly what they're talking about, but you're standing there like, let me stop you there for a second. Now, try talking to me as if I don't have a fucking clue what you're on about. But it's only after you started reading books and listening to what people have to say that you start to piece together things, and then you'll be like, wow, okay, this game actually has a lot going on for it. I'd argue that this game isn't linear at all, as you're required to use your journal to locate certain areas that are quite often well hidden. In fact, a great comparison of this game would be to describe it as Morrowind set underground. You can cast spells by dragging your mouse across the screen in a certain way, and the amount of lore that this game has in it is staggering. Though I never finished it due to a game-breaking bug, I did highly enjoy this game and would recommend it to anyone who enjoys in-depth, early 2000s PC gaming. Deadly Premonition! A game that screams low budget with lackluster graphics, poor facial animations, a stupid story, driving controls that leaves a lot to be desired, often awkward character personalities. Yeah, I'm not doing this game any justice here. But that's the thing, because I was thinking all of that from the get-go. This game doesn't exactly draw you in unless you're looking for a game that's so bad that it's good. But even if that's what you're hoping for, then I'm sorry my friends, because this game is actually really good. It's essentially Twin Peaks meets Resident Evil 4, with a circus clown doing cartwheels in the background. I also get the impression that this game was made as if having an anime in mind, and this would probably have come across a little bit more comical had it been like that, but since we've got very stiff facial animations instead, this game comes across as being an awful game while at the same time being quite enjoyable. Imagine Ride to Hell Retribution, but if the gameplay was good. Everything else kept intact, like the bugs, the terrible facials, but with good gameplay and some very likeable characters too. Deadly Premonition is the kind of game you feel that you're not going to like at first, but find this quite difficult to put down once you've gotten started.
Mambo number 5.
Valkyria Chronicles! I'm not entirely sure what it was about this game, but there was something about Valkyria Chronicles that told me that I wasn't going to enjoy this one. And still to this day, I don't know why I ended up buying it. Perhaps during some sort of moment of insanity or something, or perhaps I wanted a bad game that I could talk about on this channel. But what I ended up getting was a game that I would rant and rave to all of you at home for years to come to go out and buy it. With the exception of the endgame boss, there is nothing to dislike about this game. It's a third-person, tactical, turn-based shooter with memorable characters, a gripping story that totally didn't rip off World War II, different character classes that could be upgraded as you gained experience, bright and colourful locales, and tons of tension. There's also superpowers or whatever, but let's not get into that. This game also includes a permadeath system for members of your party who aren't essential to the story, so if they die during a mission, then they're gone forever. And trust me, you will get attached to your squad, so do your best to keep them safe. All in all, this game is probably the best example of games that I didn't really enjoy at first, but ended up loving. Having said that, these next few games were even better experiences for me personally. Fallout! I got into the franchise at Fallout 3, and that will most likely be my favourite from now until the day I die. But having said that, I also really like Fallout 4, and despite what I've said on it in the past, I also really like New Vegas and still do. So I ended up getting the first two in the series as well, to give them a go, and where better to start than Fallout 1, I didn't like it, I'm afraid. It wasn't the outdated graphics or anything, as that doesn't bother me, nor the controls so much, though they do take a bit of getting used to. But oh, the combat. You see a rat. You've got a 60% chance of hitting it. You missed 4 times in a row. The rat hits you twice. You're dead. Well, that's me done with this game. I get that when you start off, you're gonna suck dick in combat, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with sucking dick. You've got stats to improve after all, but come on, not this much. Most of my early days playing Fallout consisted of me running for my life the second anything homed into view, and getting as many side quests done as possible for some much needed XP. I'd say that it was only after coming out of the glow did things change for me, because by that point I was decked out in power armor and was toting a plasma rifle. I was wasting everything before me and my scavenger days were over. Even by our standards, this game is really open. Almost no quest has one and only one way of finishing it. You can talk your way out of almost any situation, and if your tongue fails to do the job, then your gun will do the rest. And as this was the first in the series, you really do get a feel for the original setting and atmosphere that Interplay tried going for, and I've got to say, I loved it all. Yes, you will be quick saving and quick loading more than you'll be shooting, but it's well worth it just to see what else this game has in store for you. Elder Scrolls III Morrowind! This should come as no surprise to all of you when I say that I had a hard time getting into Morrowind. Whatever, I've already told this story over and over again. It was the combat that was doing it for me here. It just struck me as insane that you could stand right in front of an enemy, attack it several times over and not get a single hit in because your stats were too low. In a much older game, I could understand that, but not for something like this which was post-2000. I also didn't initially like the journal, which was complicated at worst and redundant at best, though I would later come to appreciate the journal system here. But after having taken some advice from a friend and basically abusing the system as much as I could near the start, I finally did get into Morrowind. What a game to play. So much content, so much fun and excitement to be found and had. Even the journal system wasn't as bad as I thought it was at the start. See, in Skyrim and Oblivion, you've got your map marker, while Morrowind doesn't. Instead, it tells you where you probably need to go, and it's up to you to get there. This means that the whole quest was an adventure, not starting from where you got to the location. No, the adventure starts when you leave town, because stuff could happen along the way, and that added effort of crossing the game's massive map to your destination added to the experience, as you could proudly say that you have crossed mountains and deserts to be here. Not, I have opened up the map and fast travelled to be here. Like some sort of lazy slob that we all are deep down when playing video games. In short, Morrowind is an amazing game to play even today. It's just that you've got a lot of work to do before you can enjoy it for what it is. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. More dice rolling combat, an ungodly amount of game glitches and game crashes. No, seriously, I originally bought a hard copy of this game. That didn't work, so I traded it in for another one. That did work, but only the first level worked. So I got rid of that and got it on Steam. That took some setting up and fiddling with the settings, and after all of that, I managed to make it so that the game would crash every so often. And even after all of that, I just couldn't look past how the combat worked. I was, and still am, to some degree, not a fan of dice rolling and gaming. Sure, this game, Morrowind, and Fallout have relaxed me to the idea a bit, but I'm still not a fan. So by the time I got to Taris, I just thought, oh, I really can't be bothered anymore. But since I hate not being able to finish a game that I own, I had to go back to it and give it another try. Several failed attempts later, I thought, nope, fuck it, I am going to sit here and play this game even if I hate every second of it. And maybe that forced idea of mine is what did it, but I ended up falling for this game big time. I still look back on it favourably and would quite happily say that this is one of the better Star Wars games out there. Like with Morrowind, there are a few aspects about this game that will probably turn a lot of you off out there, but get past all of that and you've got a very memorable and enjoyable experience ahead of you. With lots of planet hopping, a story that is quite easily better than most Star Wars stories today, a great cast of characters, and an emphasis on the galaxy itself, along with its many cultures, instead of just the Jedi and the Sith, though they do get plenty of screen time, I assure you. Knights of the Old Republic was such an amazing experience that I'm actually quite annoyed why we don't have a full blockbuster movie trilogy yet, Disney. No, I'm not counting the live action film.
Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust.
Dark!
Do you know where Tom is?
Oh, I'm just kidding, that game was a piece of shit. Persona 4! So after playing Catherine, I thought, well, that game was okay, I suppose, but I really like the darker sides of it. Well, if I'm going to be completely honest with you here, after playing Catherine, all I could think about was Edge. But say what you want about that game, it was fucked up in places, and I was interested to see what else the developers have made in the past. So I did my research, and soon came across a sprawling franchise called Shin Megami Tensei. Probably pronounced that wrong too. And out of this, the sub-series called Persona was the one everyone was raving about. Now this was before Persona 5, so the latest one out by this point was Persona 4 Golden, but I didn't own a PlayStation Vita back then, but what I did have was a PS2 emulator, so the original Persona 4 it was. Now, for the record, I don't particularly like dungeon crawling, I don't particularly like social simulators, I don't like dating simulators, I don't particularly like turn-based combat, though this would change. I'm not a fan of JRPGs, though this would change too, and I wasn't really into anime back then. Well, Persona 4 was all of this rolled into one, and had you said to me that a game that includes everything I don't like in video games would be one of my favourite games of all time, I'd probably slap you, and then tell you that'd never happen, and then slap you again. But it's true, Persona 4 does all of this incredibly well. There is so much content in this game that it's staggering. You get to play every day for almost an entire year, yet you can't fit everything in just one playthrough. I always say that every Persona game, after 3, requires at least 2 playthroughs to get everything out of them, and I can't say the same for any other game out there. And I don't know how it does it, but this game makes you want to do everything. To max out every social link, to max out every skill, to get the most powerful personas and to defeat the secret boss. This game also has a hidden dungeon in the form of the True Ending, named after me by the way, don't you dare say any different, which you could quite easily miss if you weren't paying attention. Coupled with the vastly improved and expanded on version that is Persona 4 Golden, means that this is a game that is barely able to contain all of its content. Many games nowadays feel as if they're not exactly a good value for money, but Persona 4 is certainly not one of these games. Even the original PS2 version's content is staggering, and with its amazing story, memorable characters, intense and action-packed turn-based strategy sections, and ridiculously catchy soundtrack will carry you through the entire thing. There's a reason why it got a re-release, 2 animations, some fighting spin-offs, a questionable dance spin-off too, and there's a reason why it's in at number 1 on this list. But for that very reason, Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4 is right here at number 1 on this top 10 list. And we're done for another video, but if you happen to be a questionable dance spin-off as well, then like this video and subscribe to this channel. Don't forget that I'm still on Twitter where you can find out which video is out next and when, and I'm also on Patreon if you'd like to support this channel further. But until next time, see ya!
Sometimes I think this life is killing me. Sometimes I think this life is killing me.